Hello, I'm going to demonstrate how, for a start, we can put information into Python code, and once the information is in the code, how can we see them or display the information on the screen. So we're going to introduce two functions. One is called input to get information in, and the other is called print to get information out, so to speak. So here I have a new window. I activate my cell and I start using the function name, which is print. And print works with accepting arguments in around parentheses, and within the parentheses I can put letters or any sequence of characters within single quotes. So if I just type hello, execute this code, you can see the code took that input hello and now displays it for me to see below the cell. So that's an input-output function, in this case an output functionality that I can use to see information that is within the program. A nice feature of the print function is that it takes multiple items. So if I had from before hello, I can now put in a second piece of information that is maybe a name, and I need to separate that by comma and then type the name. If I execute the code, I can see both pieces, one after another, separated by a space. To understand how that spacing of the two items works, what I can do is I can copy and paste the code and make a lot of spaces between the two items. But if I execute the code, the output is the same as before, so nothing has happened. Any spaces that are outside of single quotes are ignored. If on the contrary I put a lot of spaces before John but within the single quotes, those spaces are not ignored, but they're actually truthfully displayed. So whatever is between single quotes is displayed on the screen. So that's how we can manipulate several items. In this case it was two, as you can see by those two pairs of single quotes. You can put as many items as you want, just separate each one by a comma from the other. So these were two arguments of the same type. Now we can use the same code from before but add an argument of another type. You also separate it by comma. All the arguments are separated by comma. And that argument is called SEP and it's followed by an equal. This is a keyword argument, something where you have to provide the keyword, and the keyword is SEP, short for separator. It shows you how to separate items, and it will help us define or customize how we want any items that we want to have displayed separated in the output. So if I, as an example, if I put 3 colons surrounded by spaces as a separator, then the result will be shown as hello John, but separated by those 3 colons and spaces in between. So this is a way how to customize separations, and I would, to end this part, I would just like to show you one special separator, namely the one that goes by backslash followed by n. Backslash and backslash also always means this is a very special thing following. It's a so-called escape character, so it's not meaning an n, but it's a special meaning associated to it which you have to know, or by just trying it out you can find out. Backslash n means make a new line. So any items that you want to have displayed by print will be separated in a separate line because backslash n stands for new line. And another one that also uses the backslash but maybe slightly more entertaining, if we have that same line repeated here, but if instead of separating it with \n, we say a mysterious sequence like U0001 F606 and another space here. If we use that very particular separator, we can see this stands for displaying an emoji. And the separator will be space emoji space, and in this case hello John is separated, or whatever you give, whatever name you give to that smiling or laughing face. If you are curious, of course, for these things, you can't remember these by heart. If you want to look it up, there is a web page. I'll just put that down in here. If you want to see it, unicode.org has a full list of all the emojis that are coded, such that you can use them within code. And here you have an example how to do it. And that ends our discussion of print. Let's now go to the inverse, so to speak, rather than printing something that is in the code, trying to get something into the code. And for getting an input, we use a function called input. Again, round parenthesis means that some argument is expected. If we don't put any argument, you can see a white box opens. So I can tell you that what you have to type some characters. And if you then hit enter, this set of characters will be captured by the program and displayed as an output here, similar to what printed before, to show you what it is. Of course, this is not very comfortable. We want to be a little bit more specific. And the first way is to use an input prompt. And the input prompt would be like we had it before. And within single quotes, you can just put anything that you require as an input, like please type your name or type your first name, followed by a colon and a space. This is not really important. It's important what is following. And then it says, now please type your name. Just the code that we entered comes up as an instruction. So we can use that. So my name is Gerald. If I type enter, this is what we got. So now we have specified what we want, and I can respond to that specification. And it's sort of captured, but not really, right? So how can we work with it? We can only work with it if we have it assigned to a variable. So let's assign a variable. How do we do that? We find some arbitrary name, say my name. And if we just copy the code from before to make it a little bit shorter, execute this code. I type my first name again. I don't see any output upon executing this code, but we know how to see what's within the code. It's used doing the print function. And if instead of single quotes, I just say my name, which is the name of that variable that I assigned. Here's my name stored under the variable called my name and displayed if I execute the print command. So let's summarize what we have learned today by using both input and output together. And what I want to do is I want to check. We have already seen how to define our special smiley. And now, because that is of course a very long code, we can also, I call it a smiley. If you apologize, maybe it's called something different. I assign this string with that backslash to a variable called SMI, just to have it available for later use. And then I use the code that we already had, which was please input your name, please type your, we can specify in this case first name, if that's what we want. And once we have the first name, you can see now it's stored on a variable called my name. We can then say print and then specify what we want to see. And if we want to make a welcome message, We can, for example, specify that in each case we want to see a hello, separated by the name, which is my name. But now as a special separator, we know how to do that. We say sep equal, and rather than putting that code, we abbreviate it by saying SMI, because we know SMI stands for that Unicode. So let's finish by executing this code. A box opens with the instruction, please type your first name. So my first name, I pretend is Jane. I enter this and I can see as an output, hello Jane, and it's embellished by that emoji that we specified.